Welcome to Coaching in Session, where limits end and growth begins.
Hosted by Michael Rearden.
This is your space to challenge the ordinary
Unlock your potential.
and step boldly into your next chapter.
Your mindset journey continues.
We've been talking quite a bit about this idea of the 24-hour block, and not so much of that vocabulary in itself, but the idea that there's 24 hours in a day and we get to choose what we do with it. Now, there are many things that I can think about what I do every single day, right? We wake up, of course, we use the restroom, we brush our teeth, hopefully, we take a shower, ideally, and we basically start beginning our day, whatever that might look like. Maybe you're a parent, you have to get your kids ready for school, for summer camp, or to go on a trip or a hike or an excursion. You're doing something. Maybe you have to go to work, so you're going to have a commute and you are going to maybe listen to some audiobooks or a podcast on the way to work. And when you get to work, it's going to be the daily dues of what work has to offer. Maybe you are a stay-at-home parent or a stay-at-home worker and you do your morning routine. Maybe you get a coffee, you get some toast or a bagel, and then you sit down into your office or on your sofa or in front of your laptop and you begin to work. Now, what happens oftentimes is that when we are doing something, we can get immersed into it to the point or to the extent that we're not thinking about other things. But sometimes things do not allow our attention to be there. For example, if you are stressed, if you're anxious, even if you're hungry, there's times when you cannot focus. You cannot say, all right, I'm supposed to be in this. And I know there's other factors where people might not be doing something because they don't like it. It might not be their favorite thing to do. For example, maybe going to the gym. They go to the gym, but the first thing they're thinking about is getting out of the gym or being home. Yeah, sure, some days are going to feel like that. But the majority of the days, especially if you know you are going for your own personal development and that you're going because you're going to feel better, guess what? You're going to have some benefits down the road, and it's going to get easier for the mind and the body to say, I like being here. If you start getting money in your bank account and you get a lot of money, you're like, oh, I like this. Now, of course, there's going to be a limit, right? Is that money breaking you? Are you doing things that are morally incorrect? Are you doing things that are breaking down your body, your mind, your soul, etc.? We can look at the extent of all the things that we do in a given day. Now, what often happens with people when they start to look at their 24-hour time block or their day, they see all the things that they would like to do, but they can't do, but they don't see all the things that they're doing that they're not supposed to be doing, like being on your smartphone, like wasting time endlessly, Amazon shopping during the day. The focus is just spread across the board versus us saying, let me be focused at this time of the day. Let me make sure I do all the things that I'm supposed to do at this time of day. And then you need to basically say, can I maintain this for more than just a short period of time, a day, a week, a month, a year? Most people can do it for a very short, limited time, but they can't do it in a consistent manner. Today is going to be teaching you how to reframe your mindset to look at your day in a way where, yeah, I might not be 100% all the time, but if I can give 100% of what I got, then we can make some progress. Now, for me, I like to be an open book, at least for the podcast. In real life, if you ever spoke to me, it's very mysterious, it's very calm. It's going to be direct at your answers. There's not going to be many anecdotes and stories unless I'm trying to explain something in a softer manner. Because sometimes a blunt, forced answer is not what we're looking for. Sometimes we're just looking for an understanding rather than a beating. And I'm not trying to beat everybody up to say, you're not doing enough, you could be doing more. And then that is just tacking on stress to your body, your mind, and maybe even your soul. Now, recently we had a bout of food poisoning, and food poisoning is never fun if you have had it. And it was just the weirdest thing. It was something that shouldn't have been any issues to our body or whatever was an issue. And I just started to ask myself, it's just like the moment you start going, right? The train is going, someone's on the track. You got to stop the train. All right. You're on the runway. You're getting ready to go to the Bahamas. And then there's a fire truck coming into the flight path and you have to stop. It's like you are trying to take off. You're trying to get some traction. You're trying to make some movement. And then it just seems as if everything just comes to a halt. So going to the gym or working or doing all of these things that you have to do, meeting with clients, traveling, right? Whatever, right? You you are basically giving yourself a task, a thing to do, right? This is the everyday thing, right? You can just go to work every single day or hang out with your kids every single day. And when you get sick, and it doesn't matter what type of sickness, I just had this sickness. You can have a common cold, and we know common cold. I was like sick a couple weeks ago, and we talked about that, or maybe a month ago now. This little thing happened here, and it's almost like what life is doing. And it's so funny because I want to make a point in a minute is that life is going along, right? And you're just moving along. And you're like, hiya. They elbowed you in the chest, right? They karate chopped you in the throat. And you're just like, man, I'm getting beat up, right? And you're like, okay, well, why me, right? A lot of people will say, why me? And I just think about, well, I don't mind this, right? Because this is something that is going to help me appreciate, help me see things. Because if you are a planner and you plan accordingly, like for example, if you come to me and you say, hey, Michael, I have a dream, I have a goal, I want to do this. Okay. I say, okay, not a problem. We can easily do whatever you dream for, whatever you have a goal for, we can make it happen. Okay. The issue is the process to get there. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be instant. It's going to be a time based thing. Sometimes a goal, a dream, a life can take a lifetime to build. We don't want that, of course. We want instant gratification. We want our items in 1 or 2 days. Heck, maybe even the same day delivery, please. I don't want to wait. But sometimes life is going to say, hey, you need to take a break. Now, there's going to be different assets or facades to this idea because we don't want to just wait because of waiting's sake. Oh, I'm not ready. Oh, it's not the perfect time. I'm waiting for the market. I'm trying to time the market, whether it be the housing or the stock market or whatever, right? So we basically are in limbo. We're waiting, right? We're not making any progress. But we're not thinking about the long-term goal, right? Investing, for example. There's never a perfect time to invest. Even when I invested, in 2008, I invested, for me at the time was like a lot of money. It was $5,000 initially, and then all of a sudden the economy did the thing that the economy did with the housing market and everything. I lost like half my money. And the initial thing I wanted to do was to take my money out and say, man, I lost half my money, I don't want to lose any more of it. But I let my money stay in there, right? And the issue was I didn't really want to invest heavily anymore because I was already, disdained. I was like, man, I lost all my money. And investing is a gamble. It's hard work. But investing is not so much of a one time thing. It's a habit where you do every single day, right? I invest $5 a day. I invest $1 a day, right? So you're $30 a month or whatever, right? We think of it that way rather than I'm investing a large lump sum of money. Now, initially, you might have to do that, but the long term benefit, especially if you're looking at 10 years plus, is to see it as it's not about what happens now, it's about what's going to happen in 10 years or plus. Because if I calculate it, and I did, I calculated if I left my money in the account and I didn't add any more money into it, it would have took exactly about 10 years. 10 years for my money to go exactly back to where it was. And you might have said, well, why can't you just have kept the money in your bank account? And sure enough, you could have had the same amount of money throughout the 10 years. And I was thinking in my mind, yeah, that's very true. But the reality is, for a young kid, you're going to use that money for something. You're going to see it and you're going to say, hey, look at my money I can spend things on. So you might want to get a car, get a down payment on something. And before you know it, that money is gone. It's not working for you anymore. And I can't tell you how many times in a day where something is just not working out for you anymore, right? As I said, we were sick. I was sick, lost my voice, and then I got sick, with the food poisoning, and I was just thinking in my head, man, life is going to keep on throwing you curveballs. It's going to keep on giving you problems. But I heard somewhere they said if everyone in the world put one of their major problems in a hat, right? Maybe you're dealing with depression, you're dealing with anxiety, maybe you're dealing with the death of a loved one, maybe you're dealing with like a financial crisis, you lost your home, you're homeless. So you have a lot of problems, right? You lost your child, you lost your parents, right? Whatever. You can put all of your problems or just one of your top big problems into a hat. Everyone in the world. The rule is you have to take someone else's problem because you're giving up one of your problems. Would you still do it? For me, I look at that and I go, heck no, right? Because people who are listening to this podcast, you would probably say the same thing because you have access to power, you have access to electricity, you have access to the internet, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to hear this. So this is to say that you're living pretty good. There are people who are living in a hole, no roof, no food, no water, maybe even no clothes. They're cold or they're hot. They're struggling, they're suffering, they're uncomfortable, and they have big problems. Our problems to that seem so minuscule, so minute. What, you got food poisoning? There's someone who wishes that they had something to eat even if it got them sick. And I'm over here complaining about maybe something that I ate that got me sick, right? Someone got me sick from going to the store. Some people don't have the benefits to go into a store or whatever, right? So we look at all of our problems and we make it like the epitome of the universe. It's like, oh my goodness, this is the center of my universe. I'm suffering and it's so rough and it's so difficult. But I will say this is very unique where if you ever are out, right? And I'm not saying you need to be a people watcher, but I just want you to pay attention because there's a movie called The Matrix. And The Matrix basically is saying that the whole world, this idea of the world, is just a computer program where everything is situated to be what it is and there's going to be no deviations. And if there is a deviation, then that's when it's like you're like Neo or you're like that, person going against the grain. And then that's when the Matrix police come and they're like, hey, you can't do that, right? You need to follow in line and you need to be a part of the system and you can't think for yourself. You need to just do what the program is telling you to do. And I look around when I'm like maybe at a gas station or something. I see someone pumping their gas. I look at them. I say that person has some problems. And I don't say like that person is a mess. That person is homeless. I'm not like, it's not a stigma. It's that that person has their own life. That person has their own issues. I don't know if they have had a cold last week. I don't know if they have had food poisoning. I don't know if they're dealing with a debt, like a death in a family. I don't know if the money they're putting in their gas tank right now is the last $20 that they have. I don't know, right? But if you pay attention, you can see that everyone is doing something. And it's so easy for us to get involved with just our life because we know what we do every single day. We can maybe even go to the gym as an example. We see someone at the gym that we always see. Oh, you're at the gym again. Good job. Keep up the good work. Oh, you're over here at the grocery store again buying fresh food for your family. You must be a good cook, right? So we're over here, we're seeing what people are doing, right? But then again, what are we doing for ourselves? We will neglect ourselves, but we will worry about someone else's life. And this goes down to the aspect of the social media because the social media is going to depict a perfect realm. They're going to say everything is perfect, the smiles, the outfit is new, is ironed, is cool, is fresh. And me, I'm like, hey, I'm good, right? You ever see me out here, be like, Michael, you look like a bum. I was like, great. I remember my grandma. she would purposely dress like a bum. And it's just so funny because, essentially she's worth a lot of money. And she just never was a flashy person. And I'm not a flashy person myself. And my wife is always like, I'm going to be your stylist. I'm going to dress you because my wife likes to spend money on clothes and I don't. So I don't care if she wants to spend a little bit of money on clothes. But then again, I get to choose if I want to wear it. I'm gonna let her know that. I'm like, so you buy me something I don't like, I'm not going to wear it. But either way. So this idea, every day someone's going to do something, right? So you could see someone in their perfect realm, their perfect version of themselves, maybe in their environment, their natural environment. They're at the gym, they're flourishing, they're strong, they're fast, right? They're at work, they're skillful, they're knowledgeable, they're, intellectual, they're smart, maybe in a sport, right? They're quick, they're athletic, etc., right? We can see them within their passion or their gift, right? They're really good at something, but we don't even prepare for us to be really good at something. Like the average person, they don't even really prepare for the day or for the moment. Think about it. The day before, are you someone who sits down and writes down everything you have to do the next day? Perhaps maybe just setting out your clothes, maybe preparing your oats in the morning, right? If you are a breakfast eater, right? I know sometimes like people just have a coffee, so it's like a Keurig is one button, it's easy, right? Maybe preparing your lunch for the next day, right? So you don't have to go out and buy lunch. And I'm not saying that you need to live this lifestyle, but it's just this idea of preparing, right? Because we know that at some point in our day, we're going to eat unless we are purposefully fasting. We know at some point in our day that we're going to sleep. And of course, if you are having a hard time sleeping, then, it's going to be sporadic. But at some point you're going to sleep. And at some point, you're going to look at maybe your entertainment value for the day, where you're going to do something that's fun, right? Maybe you're sitting down, you're playing cards, you're hanging out with the families. This is something fun, right? You feel as if this is fun, it's worth it. And then maybe this idea of this everyday aspect of like who you are, maybe a self check in. And I believe people, they have a hard time in this area, right? The self check in. Because if they don't have to check in, they don't have to know. They don't have to see. They don't have to see the progression. They don't have to feel anything. Just keep on moving. There's no emotion. There's no structure. There's no direction. So if we don't check in, if we don't see what we're doing every single day, we're going to have some big problems because, like I said, life's going to keep throwing problems at you. There's going to be some problem that gets in your way, even though you're planning for all these other wonderful things. Think about if you spent maybe a good chunk of change on a trip to Europe, or if you're in Europe, a trip to Mexico or Canada or United States, right? Wherever you want to go or wherever you can go. On that trip, you lose your luggage, you crash your rental car, your hotel room has an issue, and then there's no other rooms available. It's like this trip is a trip from hell, right? But this trip is also an opportunity for you to pay attention. You're like, man, this trip has a bunch of problems. My day is, or my trip at least, is not even a fraction of what I thought it would be, right? All of these problems. Most people don't plan a trip saying, oh, I can't wait to go on this trip to the Bahamas and have all these problems. I can't wait to go on this cruise to, get what are those two viruses that were out? The norovirus and the Heptiva virus, or it's like a corona or something, like another sickness. You wouldn't think I'm going on a trip to get sick, right? I'm going to live my life to be sick today. Oh, I'm going to go to this restaurant and I'm going to get sick because I thought I can go over here and have a nice meal with my family or my partner and we'll be good. But that's just not the way it is. There's going to be that immunity that we have to develop, and the immunity never stops developing. Yeah, sure. At some point, it becomes challenging. It's difficult, especially like if we put it in the realm of age brackets, right? When you're young, your immune system is still building, it's still growing. It takes several years for your immunity to become strong. So play in the dirt, have fun, be around other sick kids, and you will get a strong immunity, right? You gain a stronger immune system. The issue is that we don't want to be sick. We don't think about how we are growing through the process. Because when I fail in life, when I have a meeting with a client or a potential client and it doesn't go through, I can say, I'm just not a good salesman. I can say the price is too high for coaching. I can just come in with all of these problems or all of these excuses for why things are not working out my way. Or I can allow it just to be what it is, an opportunity, another chance to grow, to learn, to be better. And at every given point, the problems that we have, the things that we have to do every single day, they should be helping us to build us. And for people who try to scapegoat, the people who try to run away from the reality of what the world is, they're going to have a difficult time at some point in life. There's only so much you can do at a given time if you do not evolve, if you do not get stronger. The world demands different levels of yourself. And if you are going to remain at level one, you're only going to be in the beginning stages of where you can ever be. You have to level up. Now, how does leveling up look? Well, you can do that with your body, your mind, spiritually. You could do it by environmentally, who's around you. You can do it by systematically, just knowing your routine, being not only disciplined, but consistent, right? This idea of what you put in as fuel as well in your brain, in your body, the foods you eat, right? All of this is going to keep you going long term. Now, you could say, I'm doing all the right things, but I still have hiccups in life. That's just life. Life's going to have dead end roads. It's going to have roads with no outlet signs. And sometimes you're not going to be seeing that no outlet sign or that dead end street because you're going to be moving so quickly. Life moves very quickly. You don't realize how much time you're wasting or how much time you have left until you have more years behind you than you do in front of you. I can't tell you how many people they get on later on in life and they're trying to live more fully now. And they wonder, can they do it? Can they maintain it? The answer is, how bad do you want it? Some people are going to be content with just allowing life to take them away and wither them away. This is why they don't build themselves up. They don't create habits that are going to help them every single day. They don't look at what they're doing every single day that are going to be beneficial to them, how much sleep they're getting, what type of foods they're eating, what type of work they're doing, whether it be passion or gift related or just monetary based. We don't look at all of these different aspects every single day. We just move, right? We are in that habit of moving, right? We have to be moving. And for the people who are not moving, you're most likely in a state of depression or in a place of feeling stuck because the mind doesn't have to, or the body doesn't have to physically move at all given times, but the flow of thought processes do. Now, when you study meditation, if you study this idea of being still in the moment, you're allowing things to be as they are and to flow freely. You're not trying to hold something like a picture does. When you take a picture, it holds that moment. And you can look at that picture for hours, and that moment won't change. But everything around you will change. Maybe your hair, so like if you're, it's not going to happen immediately, but your hair will slowly start to get gray. Your face will get more wrinkles. Your skin will get more dry. If you're not drinking enough water, you're not hydrated enough. Your mind is going to start to signal cues to being hungry or tired or fatigued or whatever, right? Your eyes might be getting more strained from looking at the phone. There could be a plethora of things going on that we might not be paying attention to because our mind is extremely powerful. The focus that we present it with can be everything to it. We might not look at those small things, how we're feeling, how we're thinking. Are we doing the right thing? Every single day, we have a choice. Every single day, there's a moment for us to realize that we have problems or we have solutions or we are doing pretty good now. And I just think, I'm so close to retiring and literally just doing nothing with my life. Like, literally, I can just sit back and just chill. I don't have to do anything. And I am dreading that. I go, I don't want that. I don't want that life. And I'm still young, right? I want to explore. I want to have fun. I want to have more problems, right? What kind of person says I want to have more problems, right? And I want you to be one of those people that says, I want to have more problems. I want to have more opportunities. I want to have more stresses. I want to have more obligations. I mean, this is a mindset here because when you give yourself more problems, more obligations, etc., this is just telling you that you are ready to grow, that you are ready for more, that you are going to take on whatever the world is going to give you, and you're not going to shy away from it because life's going to throw you a curveball every now and again, and you might not do things exactly at the points you want to do or to be or to feel. You just are going to be exactly what you are, and you're going to say it is what it is at that point. And if you can mentally just go through the process and deal with it as you are progressing, that's going to lead to a lot. And I know my grandmother, she had passed away early this year. She had a saying. She would always say, "C'est la vie," right? It is what it is. And my wife and I, we got sick, from the foods we ate past week, and I basically go, "C'est la vie," just kind of in remembrance of her, and then also as an ode to this idea that life is gonna life. Life is going to do what life is going to do, but I have to still do what I must do. So if I must rest, because I understand that rest is maybe the most important thing for me right now, then I shall rest. But I won't rest because I simply don't feel like it. I do it because I would rather get to a position where I can do more than to do something mediocrely. Now, I know this is a mindset, right? Michael, there is no perfect time. Michael, there is no moment where you're going to be 100%. So, in a sense, you are not doing things perfect. And that is 100% true, right? That's a mindset as well. The idea is you have to ask yourself this: if you had to maybe clean out a room, the living room, maybe your closet, and the goal was you wanted to move one item or move one room to another house. So let's say you're moving. You are going to take one item from the living room, maybe a pillow, and you're going to put it in your car and you're going to drive to the new house and you're going to put your pillow down. Then you're going to come back to your house and you're going to put maybe your one pair of shoes, right? You could put one pair of shoes in the car and you're going to drive them to the new house. You get to put one pair of shoes, right? So you're doing things one at a time. You're still making progress, right? But it's a slow progress. You can say that you're doing everything that you can, right? Maybe you hurt your arm or your back and you don't want to lift too much. So you're just doing things very slow, very steady. Now, there is this idea of I'm not going to do anything where it's like I'm moving stuff from this house or this room to the other room or the other house. I'm preparing to move everything. Now, there's two aspects to preparing. One is the physical, the other is the mental. Now, whichever comes first depends on you. Sometimes for me, it's the mental, sometimes it's the physical. And I know that because if I'm having a hard time, sometimes mentally, I have to prepare for things. And then sometimes physically, like I was struggling physically, it's the physical, right? You're not feeling good, right? Or you're fatigued, you're dehydrated, right? The physical can be paramount, it could be prominent in your focus. So I look at that physical and I say, okay, well, what can I do physically right now, right? Because I know I can't go to the gym right now. I know I can't possibly speak for 30 minutes on a podcast because it's going to cause, some level of discomfort to the point where it is not beneficial for me because the recovery time is more than the time that I'm spending doing something. Because if you are hurting yourself more than where you're progressing, so if you're doing a race, for example, right? I talk about this quite a bit. When I did the 5K races, I hurt my hamstring and I developed sciatica. And that sciatica problem lasted me damn near 5 years. So I had an option at that time in my life to say, you know what, I'm going to rest for a week or a month or a year. And I would have had no pain for 5 years versus me being stubborn. Oh, I'm going to push through. I'm going to do this. And this is not to say that we can't push through or that there's not going to be areas where we do push through, right? Sometimes we need that discomfort. But if we are doing it for everything, oh, it's just not right, like things are not going well every day, then we're going to just find ourselves always at a roadblock, always at an obstacle. And the mind is going to start to act like that, where there's always an obstacle in our day, where we're going to look at all the woes of the world and we're going to, be in this boohoo pity party of ourselves. We're going to be looking around at all the other people who are doing amazing things and we're just not showing up. So we need to get clear on what we want to do today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. We need to figure out our 5 year plans, our 10-year plans, our lifetime plans. What do you want to do? And I guarantee you, if you start working on your plans, especially your lifelong plans, your legacy plans, you're going to find that that plan is always changing little by little because you're realizing what you want or what you feel as if you need right now is going to be the final thing. But that's not true, right? What you think you need right now is going to change because your lifestyle is going to change. And you have to have a mindset or work with a coach that can help you see the patterns, that can help you see the vision, that can help you see what is going to be more beneficial to you long term rather than what you're thinking right now. Because anyone can figure out or struggle today, especially today with our mindsets and our current brain stability. What movie do you want to watch? Possibly, where do you want to eat, right? Think about how big of a problem that is today. People don't even know what they want to eat. People don't even know what they want to be entertained with, right? And as you are complaining about or trying to figure out what you need to do in your day, the time is ticking, the clock is ticking. Yeah, sure. There's going to be moments when you might enjoy that downtime, that exploratory time. And then there's going to be times when it's, it's for naught. So to be decisive, to understand, hey, this is what I need right now, because I understand that this is going to help me take more steps ahead. It's like that idea. You can take one step back and two steps forward. This is the mindset. If you can do that, something that's going to build you up, that's going to propel you, even if it's just one step more, then that can be healthy progress. We are not trying to rule the world or conquer the world in one day, but we are trying to do our best to not only maintain where we are, but to progress through it. So if you're someone who is struggling with the everyday life, the everyday problems, with the everyday limbo, and that this is something that you need to get a hold of, whether it be your relationships, your career, your family, then that's time for you to say, hey, it's probably a good idea that I reach out for some clarity. You can reach out to us, revenconcepts.com, get yourself a consultation, learn more about what you can do in your life to figure out what needs to get done. Because there's always going to be a moment where there's a hiccup, where you're not feeling good, where there's a problem that is delaying your progress or your life. And I just think about how if you are possibly on a train and a train is not faster than an airplane, but you're on that train and you're just seeing all of the scenery. You're just looking at the trees, the mountains, the streams, the birds, the animals, whatever you're looking at, and you can appreciate it. And in life, if we can appreciate our journey, the good and the bad, we are going to develop a mindset that is going to be more enthused for the journey is going to partake in. Yes, we're going to have everyday issues. We're going to be looking in the mirror and looking at things that we want to change. We might be even wishing and dreaming for different problems because the ones we have feel so heavy. But all of this is what life is presenting you so you can become stronger. And this is your opportunity to take the wheel of life again, to reclaim the rest of your life that's ahead of you, because we can't worry about what happened before, right? Sure, we can reminisce. Yeah, sure, we can game plan so we can learn from our lessons, right? Wisdom is power, but it doesn't mean that we stop moving because bad things had happened to us, because we had a bout of sickness, because everything is so rough right now. And I understand sometimes life can feel so heavy and it can go so slow. Michael, you don't know. Michael, you don't know. My life is so hard. I do understand. And sometimes the people who are carrying the biggest and the greatest burdens, they do it so well that you'll never know. And that's why they say, if the whole world put their problems or a problem of theirs in a hat, would you reach down and grab it? Would you grab someone else's problem? Or would you accept yours and do what needs to get done?